The United States is a young nation with a history of only about 250 years, yet it quickly rose to become one of the world's leading powers. To achieve this, the country needed exceptional individuals, talented people with vision who could guide the nation through countless challenges. Among them, the presidency stands out as the most important position. A U.S. president does not only represent power. The person elected to this office also reflects the hopes and aspirations of the American people. The success or failure of each presidential term is shaped by challenges, crises, the weight of the past, and a vision for the future. 45 remarkable individuals across 46 presidential terms have left a deep and lasting impact on America's extraordinary development. And in this video, let's explore 4 outstanding presidents who helped shape the history of the United States. The first president is none other than George Washington, the president of precedents. On April 30th, 1789, the Revolutionary War hero, General George Washington, took the oath of office and became the first president of the United States. At that time, most nations were ruled by monarchies, but the authors of the U.S. Constitution chose a democracy, and with it came the creation of the presidential office, the first position of its kind in the world. Most delegates believed Congress should hold more power than the president. They did not want authority to be concentrated in the hands of one person. In that context, George Washington stood out as the perfect choice. Everyone knew he did not crave power. After winning the Revolutionary War, Washington stepped down as commander-in-chief and disbanded his army. His willingness to give up power became the biggest reason he was trusted to become the nation's first president. And because he was the first, nearly every decision Washington made carried special weight, each one becoming a precedent for future presidents. He created the cabinet to form a strong administrative foundation for the new government. This was an innovation that every U.S. president continues to use today. Remarkably, instead of choosing friends or personal allies, Washington selected some of the most capable figures in the country. Thomas Jefferson as Secretary of State, Alexander Hamilton as Secretary of the Treasury, General Henry Knox as Secretary of War, and Edmund Jennings Randolph as Attorney General. Washington also shaped the relationship between the president and Congress. He maintained clear separation between the executive and legislative branches. This increased transparency and reduced the chance of tyranny or abuse of power. He used the presidential veto for the first time in April 1792 regarding a bill on how House seats should be distributed. Throughout his 2 terms, Washington used the veto only one more time, in July 1794, when dealing with legislation related to the military. Around the same period, farmers in western Pennsylvania refused to pay taxes and organized what became known as the Whiskey Rebellion. This posed a serious threat to the young government, but using military force against his own people risked pushing the nation toward dictatorship. If Washington overreacted, rebellion could spread across the entire country. He understood the danger. So George Washington personally assembled more than 12,000 troops and marched toward Pennsylvania. But instead of using violence, he won over the people with authority and tact. The rebellion was defeated without a single shot fired. George Washington managed to find a delicate balance between demonstrating the power of the presidency and the federal government, while avoiding the image of a tyrant or authoritarian ruler. Beyond domestic decisions, Washington also showed remarkable vision in foreign policy. In 1793, he firmly kept the United States out of the conflict between Britain and France in order to protect the young nation's independence. This decision drew heavy criticism at the time, but it later became one of the longest-lasting traditions in U.S. history, avoiding involvement in European wars. Through this, Washington also established the precedent for the president's central role in shaping American foreign policy. Among all the precedents he set, the most important was not how he used power, but how he gave it up. In 1796, Washington chose to retire after 2 presidential terms and refused to serve a third. Today, this seems normal for the United States, but at that time, Washington's decision to step down shaped the very survival of American democracy. For 144 years, presidents upheld this tradition, with only one exceptional case, serving more than 2 terms, someone we will talk about later. George Washington left behind a monumental legacy. To this day, he is still honored as the father of the nation. His face appears on the US dollar bill and the quarter coin. Dozens of schools, towns, and landmarks, most notably the nation's capital, are named after the first president in American history. The next president is Thomas Jefferson, the leader who doubled the size of the United States. Known as the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson became the 3rd president after a tense and dramatic election in 1800. He was also the first to take office in the new capital, Washington, D.C. During his presidency, Jefferson focused on strengthening the young nation's economy. He significantly reduced the national debt by cutting military spending and government expenses. But his greatest legacy was the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, buying Louisiana from France for $15 million, the equivalent of more than $400 million today. With that purchase, the United States gained 820,000 square miles of land west of the Mississippi River, effectively doubling the size of the country. There would be no modern United States without Jefferson's extraordinary land deal. In essence, what he bought was the entire middle section of the United States, an enormous treasure of oil, timber, farmland, and countless other resources. This single act transformed America from a small player in the global economy into a rising power that stunned Europe. But the deal came with a heavy cost, far beyond money. With more land came the expansion of agriculture, which sharply increased the demand for enslaved labor. This deepened the division between the North and the South, between freedom and slavery, leading ultimately to the bloody Civil War. During his second term, Jefferson tried to keep America neutral in the Napoleonic Wars. But soon, both Britain and France, locked in conflict, began harassing American merchant ships. In response, Jefferson issued the Embargo Act of 1807, shutting down all U.S. ports to foreign trade. This decision caused serious damage to the American economy and provoked massive public outrage. The act was eventually repealed before Jefferson left office in 1809. Even so, Jefferson remains one of the most influential presidents, helping shape the United States we know today. His face is carved into the legendary Mount Rushmore, a lasting tribute to his impact on American history. Abraham Lincoln, the president of freedom and unity. Another president whose face is carved into Mount Rushmore is Abraham Lincoln. His name first became widely known in 1858 when he took part in a famous series of debates with Stephen Douglas over the issue of slavery. These debates brought Lincoln into the national spotlight and laid the foundation for his political career. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln became the 16th president of the United States and the first Republican president in history. Immediately after his election, Southern states began seceding from the Union. The brutal and devastating Civil War had officially begun. During this difficult period, Lincoln guided the Union in the right direction with several crucial decisions. The most significant was the Emancipation Proclamation, signed on January 1, 1863. This historic document changed the meaning of the Civil War, transforming the Union forces into an army of liberation. A few years later, Lincoln played a key role in the passage of the 13th Amendment, which permanently abolished slavery across the United States. Another remarkable achievement during the Civil War was the Gettysburg Address, delivered on November 19, 1863. Lincoln gave a short speech, only 272 words, at the dedication of the new National Cemetery in Gettysburg. Widely published across the country, the Gettysburg Address powerfully expressed the purpose of the war and reaffirmed the ideals of equality and freedom. It has become one of the most famous speeches in American history. The Civil War finally ended in 1865. Lincoln was determined to reunite the nation and rebuild both the South and the entire country. One of his major efforts was the Pacific Railway Act, which laid the foundation for the Transcontinental Railroad, the first system to connect the East and West. This helped open a new era of national development and unity. However, Lincoln never lived to see the final results of his efforts. On April 14, 1865, He was assassinated at Ford's Theater in Washington by John Wilkes Booth, an actor and a supporter of the Confederacy. His death shocked the nation and left deep sorrow across America. To honor the great president, on April 21st, 1865, a special funeral train carrying Lincoln's body began a journey through 180 cities and 7 states, returning him to his home in Illinois. This long and emotional journey became one of the largest memorial events in American history, showing the profound love and respect the nation felt for a leader who devoted his life to unity and freedom. Even today, many people still wonder what the United States might have become if Abraham Lincoln had not been assassinated and had continued his presidency. Would reunification and reconstruction have been more peaceful? Would racial tensions have ended sooner? History never repeats itself, and these questions will forever remain unanswered. Next is Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 4-term president. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is the longest-serving president in U.S. history, winning 4 consecutive terms. He led the nation through the Great Depression and then through World War II. Despite his physical disabilities, Roosevelt inspired Americans with courage and determination in the face of hardship. Born into a wealthy family, Roosevelt's education and early life were comfortable. Following the example of his 5th cousin, President Theodore Roosevelt, he entered politics as a member of the Democratic Party. But in 1921, at age 39, tragedy struck. He contracted polio, which left him paralyzed from the waist down. Many believed his political career was over, but Roosevelt refused to give up. With the support of his wife, Eleanor, he slowly regained strength and returned to public life. In November 1932, he became the 32nd President of the United States. In his inaugural speech, he delivered the famous line, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Roosevelt took office during the worst financial crisis America had ever faced. Unemployment was at 25%, banks were shutting down nationwide, and more than 2 million people were homeless. During his first 100 days, he pushed Congress to pass sweeping reforms. He also spoke frequently on national radio through his fireside chats, restoring confidence among the American people. More than 60 million people tuned in to hear him speak. His most famous initiative was the New Deal, which provided economic relief for workers and farmers, created jobs for the unemployed, and introduced major reforms to stabilize the financial system. As a result, the economy slowly recovered. This success helped Roosevelt win re-election with overwhelming support. During his second term, the recovery continued, but public support for the New Deal began to fade. Even so, Roosevelt made history by running for a 3rd term, driven by a unique reason. World War II had begun in Europe. In 1939, the war erupted. Roosevelt maintained America's traditional stance of staying out of European conflicts. In such uncertain times, the American people did not want a change in leadership. They wanted stability. So in 1940, Franklin D. Roosevelt broke all precedent and became the first president elected to a 3rd term. That stability didn't last long. On December 7, 1941, more than 350 Japanese aircraft attacked the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, killing thousands. The United States immediately declared war on Japan and the Axis powers. Roosevelt led America at the forefront of the Allied effort, achieving crucial victories on the battlefield. As the war neared its end, Roosevelt was re-elected for a 4th term in November 1944. But he would never see the final triumph he had worked so hard to achieve. On April 12, 1945, Franklin D. Roosevelt died from a cerebral hemorrhage less than a month before victory in Europe. Even so, his legacy remains enormous. Roosevelt is widely regarded as one of the greatest presidents in American history. Biographer John Edward Smith once wrote, "He lifted himself out of a wheelchair and lifted the nation with him." And that brings us to the end of our journey through 4 presidents who played crucial roles in shaping American history. Which president impressed you the most? The United States continues to evolve, and new changes are always on the horizon.